Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I'm delighted to have this honor of once again greeting the community and all of our invited guests to the annual Dr. Martin Luther King observance ceremony hosted at Greenfield Community College. It is a privilege, as always, that I have the honor of greeting you all. And now it is my pleasure and privilege to introduce our MCs for this afternoon's program, the co-founders of the MLK Day program at GCC. Actually, Dwayne and Luanza were also very instrumental in my coming to GCC some 20 years ago. And some of us I see in the audience who were also around with them back then. I appreciate Larry Dean is here. Larry was probably one of the first people to write a letter to me, inviting me and welcoming me to GCC. I see Annie Keogh out there. Hello, Annie. And Dwayne and Luanza were also involved as students in developing the Multicultural Club. They were quite active in our community and still are. And it's a pleasure for me to have the honor to invite them to the podium right now. Dwayne and Luanza Brewington, thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Dwayne Brewington, and as Herb said, we've been a part of this program for about 20 some odd years. There was a group in the community having Martin Luther King celebrations, but we thought, Luanza and I, since we were students here, it should be at the college, because the college is the most place that is recognizable by the community, everybody could come to. It was in a small church over in town, not very many people could fit into that space. And it's been a whole lot of fun being a part of committees, helping folks find out more and more about Dr. Martin Luther King, bringing in prestigious speakers like the ones we have today and entertainers. I thank you, Bob, because since your tenure here, there's never been a question of whether we're going to have this event. I remember days of lobbying presidents in the prior to make sure that they knew that we needed funding for the Martin Luther King celebration. So with no further ado, my beautiful wife, Luanza.
So I get the pleasure of, thank you. Thank you. I get the pleasure of introducing our entertainment for today, which I'm excited to hear. This is Salt and Pepper, who are members, community members of a choir from all across Connecticut. And their director is Ron Pollard, who has been doing this for at least 23 years here in New England, and we're happy to have him here. And they're going to entertain us with several songs. And I told him that, you know, choirs go off of the crowd, and so we as the participants, as a crowd, if we don't clap, then they're only going to sing one song. So we have to, you know, help and, you know, be lively and so forth, because this is a day of celebration and coming together as a community. So we want to really cheer them on as they're singing, and there might be some call and response. You all have heard that from other years. So if they say call and response, then you need to respond. Okay? So without further ado, I welcome Salt and Pepper members to the stage.
we have never done before. Throw it on us just like that. I just want to, put it on Front Street. Let 'em know what's
Next, we're going to introduce Rita Hardiman to come and introduce our main speaker for today, keynote speaker. But I'd like to take an opportunity to say a few things about Dr. Hardiman. I haven't really met her until this afternoon, but it seems like I know her quite a bit because through my graduate program, I've done a lot of reading about her theories and things she's worked through with social justice education. And as a person who loves this institution and would like to see it go forward with social justice education ideals, I love the fact that she is now in the position she is here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's celebration of Martin Luther King's birthday. I've known Dr. Bailey Jackson for over 30 years. Actually, I think it's over 35, although he probably doesn't want me, no, he doesn't want me to say that. And I've had the pleasure of learning from him as a student, and then teaching with him and working with him on issues of social justice and diversity at the University of Massachusetts, and also working with him in many other organizations throughout the United States, colleges, businesses, community organizations, government groups on issues of social justice. Bailey is currently the chair of the Social Justice Education Program, of which he was the founder, in the School of Education at the University of Mass Amherst, where he formerly served as Dean of the School of Education for 10 years. I'm thankful that he agreed to be our speaker today, so please join me in welcoming him to GCC.
I noticed it says on the program, keynote speaker. Actually, it's more like keynote facilitator, because while I have a few things I'd like to share with you, there are also some things that I'd like to do with you as part of this experience today. First of all, I'm holding paper, which is unusual, but I have a new pair of glasses, and I'm not sure whose prescription they have, but boy, I hope it's not mine. Anyway, yes. Anyway, I'm proud to have been invited to this event. Martin Luther King, this day means a lot to me. It takes me back a long way, back in 1963, I guess it was, when a lot of these marches and sit-ins and so on took place. I wish I could say my parents told me about it, but I was there and was part of a number of sit-ins. I got arrested and all of that sort of thing, and was able to, I only saw Martin Luther King in person at the March on Washington in August of '63. How many were there? Oh, no, yeah. Fewer and fewer hands go up. But at any rate, so that the time means a lot to me. And it's was quite a big event for me when it was finally, this day was finally made a national holiday. I was thinking about it today with watching some newscasts where President Obama was speaking. And I realized for me, this day meant as much as probably that election, if you think about it, because I couldn't help but think about Martin Luther King at the time of the inauguration of President Obama, because for me it's all a continuous flow, if you know what I mean. I like to think of myself as an educator, facilitator of a learning process, someone who strives to engage people I speak with, whether it's in classes or in settings like this, with the purpose of enhancing their awareness of all that is going on within, with all that is going around us, and that all of the things that we are and all of the things that we do. This is how I'm coming to you today. I would like for us together to spend a little time remembering and reflecting on a few of the many things that the Reverend Martin Luther King had as his goals, his strategies for reaching those goals, and for his beliefs and dreams. Dr. King is often portrayed as a civil rights leader for Black people, or as he said, used the term, the Negro, the term I grew up with. And while it is true that his rise to national and international prominence began as a result of his leadership as a nonviolent activist for the cause of civil rights for the Negro, it became clear over time that his dream included more than addressing racism for Black people. It involved more than the promotion of nonviolence as a change strategy. It was more than about picketing and marching, although those were things that he believed in passionately. Dr. King was what I would call a leader facilitator, with a kind of presence that allowed me to have faith that we were going in the right direction, to get to a place where justice, peace, and love were what mattered. As we look back at some of the quotes of Dr. King, I think we can see how his words did in fact suggest goals that would focus on a network of injustices, a network of manifestations of social oppression, a network of what we now call isms. His understanding of racism would lead us to a better understanding of other forms of social oppression: sexism, gender oppression, classism, nationalism, ethnocentrism, ageism, heterosexism, religious oppression, and disability oppression. The list goes on, seemingly. His strategies for raising the consciousness of a nation around issues of injustice against the Negro led us to understand how that same consciousness helped us to become more aware of the ways that racism affected people of Asian heritage, Latino people, Native American people, and more recently, biracial and multiracial people. And now that we have come to understand that Dr. King's dream encompassed more than only racial justice, but social justice and peace, we can view his speaking out against the Vietnam War, indeed all war, and his presence in Memphis, where, as we all know, he was assassinated, on behalf of the sanitation workers, on what he would term a class and justice issue. In a broad context, part of his larger dream of social justice. Dr. King once said, "Faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase." Excuse me. Maybe civil rights for African Americans was a first step on the staircase that led to his dream. Maybe the broadening of the issues that we must attend to, like classism, heterosexism, and gender oppression, are the next step or the next set of steps. Maybe the election and support of an African American president is yet another step. If this is true, then maybe we are on the right road. And while it seems clear that we have a way to go before we get to our mountaintop, until we fulfill or experience our collective dream, it is important that we commit to constantly renewing our dream and celebrating the steps that we take toward those dreams. Like Dr. King, I look forward to being with you at the mountaintop. Let's revisit some of the dreams, some of the statements, some of the words or quotes that Dr. King used or spoke in speeches, in gatherings, that I think represent his commitment to issues, the movement of his commitment to issues of justice and anti-racism, particularly as it focused on black folk, and moved beyond that, thank you, to include all racial groups, and in fact, all groups who are oppressed. First statement I found was a statement that reads, Actually, if you'd like, you can read along with me. I refuse to accept the view that making to st- I think that speaks volumes. His commitment to dealing with issues of justice, his commitment to peace and love is not only in this statement, but in others. Can we go to the next? Just and I want to include the next one as well. Okay? That's very important. Again, a lot of Dr. King's positions on issues of nonviolence are issues, positions that he shares with a number of other people who are also committed to that form of activism. How about the next slide? On justice in general, and this goes beyond just racial injustice, but gender injustice and equality, and class injustice and equality. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. It is not enough to say we must not wage war. It is necessary to love peace and sacrifice for it. And last, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. I always try to remember the intent of that and make sure that I'm not one of those folks who's silent in those places where it's important to speak out. How about the next slide? He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he helps perpetrate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. One of the things that we focus on in social justice is the whole issue of silence and collusion. Silence is a way of colluding with injustice, but there are ways that we collude with justice by going along, injustice by going along with it more actively than just by remaining silent. And so we need to be careful that when we, about how we support injustices, even though we see ourselves as sort of the being activists against it. And now his dreams. I have a dream that my 4 children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And this is one I'm sure you've heard before, and it comes from his 1963 speech in Washington. Then there's another. I have a dream. One day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit together at the table of brotherhood. And one more. I just want to do God's will, and He's allowed me to go to the mountaintop. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as people will get to the promised land. And that was the essence of his dream. This is a part of a speech that he gave in Memphis, and the next day he was assassinated. Some think of it almost as a premonition of things to come, but rather than leave it there, it's like, what's our dream? How do we all get to the promised land? What I'd like to do is ask you about your dream, because while it's important that we revisit Martin Luther King's life and the things that he said in the past, and clearly we do this each year on this day. I think it's time that we move beyond just reciting his vision and his dream to making sure that we bring his dream to life by incorporating our own dreams. Our own dreams for peace and love and justice. Yes, the dreams are important. The strategies to get to the dreams are also important. And in addition to that, I think understanding the condition we're in at present is also, because we can use the wrong strategies if we come from a kind of oppression that we've all sort of been immersed in. So let's understand that. Let's not beat each other up about those attitudes or behaviors or things that we believe that in fact continue oppression, but let's raise our own consciousness about those things. Figure out the strategies that we need to employ to keep our own consciousness up and continue to challenge ourselves to look in a number of places where oppression manifests itself. But also learning, joining together to develop, implement strategies that will move us toward the kinds of dreams that we talked about today. That's what I think a community is about. That's what I hope this kind of session, this kind of day, helps to build that kind of community. Even if we just meet again next year, I hope some other things happen between now and then, but let's make sure that we stay connected. Thank you very much.
Dr. Jackson, thank you so much for not only the words that you shared, but also getting us to talk with one another about our dreams and how we can create change in our own community. Herb, Rita, the Brewingtons, thank you so much for the work that you do in making this come together. There's a wonderful book by Oliver Sacks about the impact of music on the brain. I think we all experienced today the impact of music on the soul and on the spirit. So thank you very much to Salt and Pepper for lifting us all. I have always found that this day, this particular day, to be one in which our community can come together and not only celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King, but more, his life's work. So on this day, we have the opportunity to stop for a moment and say, how are we doing? How are we doing as a nation? How are we doing as a state, as a community, as individuals, with regard to civil rights, to social justice, with regard to poverty and war? Are his dreams and America's dreams obtainable for all, equally, today? Right now, our economy is slowly recovering. Jobs, even slower. So competition for those jobs, more difficult. Who will get them? One thing for sure is that those without a college degree will find it harder and harder to get a good job, a job that pays enough to sustain a family. And who then has access to a college education, and who will succeed in those colleges today, as it was in 1929, 1969, and in 2009, the single greatest predictor of college access and college success is the SES, or the socioeconomic status of family and parents. In other words, you are more likely to go to college and succeed if your family went to college and can afford to send you. So to get a good job, you need a good college education. To get to a college education, you need to do well in K-12. And the predictors all along that path say that those with will continue to have, and those without will continue to struggle. We could do better. On a day when we reflect about the life of Martin Luther King, when we think about his dreams and America's dreams, I say we can and must do better for our children today. A good education cannot be the privilege of a few. It must be the right of all. On January 7th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in a speech on that day said, and I will quote, "I said to my children, I'm going to work and do everything that I can to see that you get a good education. I don't ever want you to forget that there are millions of God's children who will not and cannot get a good education. And I don't want you feeling that you are better than they are. For you will never be what you ought to be until they are what they ought to be." Today's Living the Dream recipients, I did say two, have lived a life committed to that end. More than 12 years ago, Tim Bullock joined with the New England Peace Pagoda for the interfaith pilgrimage of the Middle Passage, which was a journey retracing the slave trade through North America to the Caribbean and ultimately to West Africa. The goal of the journey was healing and reconciliation. Tim says, and I'll quote Tim, that he was changed by the interfaith pilgrimage to a believer in the energy of the divine spirit. He found that he wanted to join with the pagoda in dedicating his life to the goal of world peace. Since 2005, Tim has been a member of the pagoda community, organizing walks for prison reform, environmental sustainability, the renunciation of war, and the abolition of nuclear weapons. Tim says, and I'll quote him again, "When we look at the many wars that are going on and that have taken place in this century, a number of them have been against people of color. The fear that propels us to see our neighbors as others, to be against, to defend against, also keeps us from internal peace." Tim's other racial justice work includes making presentations at schools and colleges about the interfaith pilgrimage and his meetings with African communities who are dealing with HIV and AIDS. He is also working, quote, Tim, to change the Massachusetts state seal, which shows a sword over the head of a Native American man. Asked about his influences, Tim described the 1995 Million Man March, where he, and again I'm going to quote him, accepted the responsibility of atonement and the need to work towards creating a more healthy community in which my grandchildren and great-grandchildren can grow up. He also described his mentor, Dr. Vincent Harding, who was a speechwriter for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and an advisor for the Interfaith Pilgrimage. Dr. Harding wrote Dr. King's Beyond Vietnam speech, an anti-war message that Tim continues to carry on today with his work at the Peace Pagoda. Timothy Bullock is truly a man who lives his life according to the very principles upon which Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has built his own life. These are the principles of peace, truth, justice, coupled with kindness and compassion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and let Tim Bullock know how you feel about his work here in our community, one of the 2 Living Dream Awards for 2011, Tim Bullock.
Thank you for those words.
If you want.
This is indeed an honor. About 2 months ago, a friend of mine, actually a sister of mine, Annie Keogh, called me and she said she was thinking of nominating me for the Living the Dream Award. I was, well, shocked, really. You know, you do this work, and I do it because I really enjoy the work that I do.
I call myself a community organizer, and it was, great when President Obama came along and called himself a community organizer. It gave credence to my work, but what Annie was saying was, you should have credit. You should be appreciated more so for this work that you do. And many of you who know me will know that, I'm sort of a shy character. I enjoy working, I like the action, but the adulation comes hard for me. And so, I stand here very thankful and very grateful for this honor, and it is my wish that it spurs me on to do more. Thank you very much.
And as I said, this year there were two. Because Dr. Jackson surprised me with a question, I'm going to surprise him with an award. So Dr. Bailey Jackson is our second recipient this year. Dr. Jackson joined the faculty of the School of Education at the University of Massachusetts in the 70s and was the founding faculty member of the Social Justice Education Program in the School of Education. This program is the only program exclusively devoted to social justice education in the United States. He is also has a national reputation for his models of Black identity development and multicultural organizational development. These models are used by scholars and practitioners in work with individuals, with organizations and systems throughout the United States that are striving to become inclusive, equitable, and multicultural. To quote from his biographical sketch on the School of Education website, he has a national reputation for his models of Black identity, multiple and multicultural organizational development. He brings to this work years of experience with the national training laboratories and with experiential education and his background in human relations education and psychological education. He is nationally known for his writing and his consulting on multicultural organizational behavior and racial identity development theory. Dr. Jackson attracted a group of faculty and doctoral students with whom he created the social issues training program of the 70s and 80s. And he was a prime mover in establishing the graduate SJE concentrations in 1991, which continue to this day. He conducts he is a consultant around this country in schools, school systems, college campuses on issues of diversity, multicultural organizational development. He is a teacher. He was the Associate Dean, then Director of Teacher Education, and then Dean of Education at UMass Amherst, and he's built powerful collaborative networks with stakeholders in educational change in the Commonwealth. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, and back to come up here, Dr. Bailey Jackson III, our recipient of the Living the Dream Award. You are welcome.
Oh, it's got my name on it. Thank you very much. I'm not only surprised but humbled by this presentation. As has been said, I've spoken in front of a lot of groups, but I think it's groups like this that mean the most to me. It's having a chance to be up close and personal with the community. That means the most. Listening to your dreams today was really inspiring, and I hope that the recording is able to capture each one, because I think that they are part of the kind of community, the kind of spirit, the kind of, it's the muscle that's going to make those dreams happen and come to pass. Like many of you, I can get sort of weighed down. Sometimes dealing with injustice can be can wear on you. And then there are times when, like this, where we get to think about our dreams, and that's what I think gives us, energizes me, keeps me going. And so I want to thank you for not only for this, but for all of the things that you shared today and all the things that that you do. And what will really mean something to me is if, in fact, we do stay connected. Thank you very much.
I just want to remind folks, as Dr. Jackson said, and as many of you all said in describing your dreams, that today is the beginning. It is not the end of what we are heading towards doing in this year. I mean, it's the year 2011, and we can make a difference walking out the door. If we, if as we go out the door, we say goodbye to each other and mean it, and say hi to each other at the grocery store next week and so forth, and not act as if we've never seen each other before. Because it begins with the simple things, the acknowledgement of others, and believing that they are worthy, as we've talked about, in our dreams and in Dr. King's dreams. So just remember to carry it on with whatever way that means something to you all.
Before we close, without further delay, I'd like to ask all of us to stand and sing "We Shall Overcome." We